What's going on, YouTube? It is Team Gradelock here, and I want to say to all my wonderful, beautiful faces out there, this is just miss you, love you, love you. Today we got the profile of OTT Gyze, and this one is being piloted by my one and only Lil John. Yeah! Yes, I did it. I'm sorry, I do apologize. Anyways, this is OTT Gyze. Lil John took it to White Plains this Sunday, and he's gonna break down his build and let's see what makes OTT Gyze a meta deck. Let's go.
So yeah, I mean, with OTT you gotta have all the protect markers. They all look very nice. I was very happy to buy all of them. And shout out to Joe because, you know, like, swaggy Legend of Zelda shield. Sadly couldn't use that, but you know,
whatever.
Still have to throw
you have 8 other money.
Then obviously we played Gyze, so we have to have Neon Gyze.
As your unless you're Nubatama.
Then you have it in your deck.
Then you can main deck that.
And you have it in here.
And then you can just be cheesy.
Very cheesy. But obviously, if you don't know what Gyze does, you don't get trigger powers. It just keeps binding Xerath dragons in your binding zone for every trigger that you hit. You have 5, kind of win the game. I don't know. Like sometimes you win the game, sometimes you don't win the game. You get to a grade 4 side that just starts pinging your opponent for damage. The whole game's centered around this because you're just pinging damage. That's all you're doing. You're sitting on the 30. You build your deck to build the wall, stay on a 30k base, and just use it as the shield. Give your opponent 1 counter blast and go to work.
What's that trigger lamp, John?
We play 4 crit. This is only played for the shield value. Never want to crit your opponent. We play 2 and 2 to psych our opponent out, I guess. It was a little pain to write down the deck list, but the 15k shield is the most important part.
Listen, you're not playing Highlander, you're fine.
Play 4 draw PG because kind of have to. You could play some main deck PGs, but like there's not a lot of matchups where it matters because those matchups where it matters, you have protect markers in your hand to stop it. Yep. I don't like the argument. You play 4 of the soul charging draw trigger. Sometimes the soul charge comes up. The only part that really comes up more is the fact that it's Battle Sister.
Does OTT have a non-Battle Sister Margot clone, or is that the only one?
I believe this is the only one.
God damn, would you look at that?
It took a long time.
Oh yeah.
No, this took a long time. A very long time.
Same with Deeply's, dog. I know how you feel.
Then we have Sphere Maguses.
I hear they're good because they're heal triggers.
Yeah.
We like green cards. I think that's like a recurring trend.
Green means go. These are very good because obviously the G guards in the deck are very good. Premium has those. They have very good effects. But if you're on Gyze, 50k for 1 guard is also very good.
Yep.
But those are the obvious stuff. Then we move on to the actual main deck. Play 4 Imperial Daughter.
SPR because style points.
Style. Yes, Imperial Daughter is very good. I honestly don't know which one's a better ride in the earlier mid stages. Mainly your first ride. I usually judge it based on like which ones are already out of the game, like which one's gotten damage checked, which
like
one's already been seen. Yeah, because
how many of each?
Yeah, because in this deck you need to make sure that you have ultimate stride fodder. So you need to make sure that the ones that you ride first are the ones that are already out of the deck. So obviously, like Imperial Daughter, the only part that you really care about is the counterblast 1, check top 2, add 1 to hand, the other one can go into the soul or to the top of the deck. The fact that it can go into the soul means that if you see 2 normal units, you get that out of there. You don't want 2 normal units unless you want to draw it with Stillwater. But if it's your first swing, yeah, want it in the soul.
I mean, it depends on the card.
Yeah, if it's another one of her, leave it on top. Who cares? And then you play Soul Blast 1 gives something 6k, only comes up if you want your rear guard in order to hit their rear guard. Or if you want this to hit so you can get damage. Then you play 4 Hexagonal Magus, lighter Imperial Daughter on ride, counterblast 1, look at your top 2, leave it on top in any order, and then draw a card. So you leave 1 card on the top of your deck. The other important part, which makes this card a bit better, is Vanguard or Rearguard. When you check a trigger, it gets 5k. So whenever you play against your opponent, they can't, and you swing at their rearguard, they can't, and they have 2 specific rearguards that are both interceptors. They can't intercept for 1 rearguard to save it because they know like it's gonna no pass your Vanguard. Because if you check a trigger, then it gets over that no pass threshold because it makes it 17. And on your opponent's turn, if you hit a defensive trigger, then it becomes 17. So it's the 1 defense that you have. So that's sometimes why it's a little awkward to choose between the 2. But I think the biggest thing that you have to look at is how many ultimate stride fodders you have out of your deck, because that's what you have to pay attention to the whole time when you play this deck.
Yeah, still any more grade 3s, John?
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately?
What'd that do?
Allegiance.
What's that? What the hell that?
it has 3 parts that are important to it, right? It's a grade 3, so it means it's stride fodder. It's a legion, which means it puts triggers back in your deck, and it's an 11k. So when you play against the mirror match, all you intend to do with this card is, if you see it early, you want to ride it. You want to swing 11 to their 12 so that you don't give them a damage, and then you want to send 4 cards back with it. There was literally a game where I used this card twice. I never dealt him a damage. He geezed me without counterblast. I'm like, cool, bro. I threw 8 cards back. He geezed me and hit me, and I was like, I ride geeze. How many cards you got in deck, bro? 21? Cool, I got 23. I win. That's the point of it. And there's I'm sorry. The other important part is the Battle Sister. That's the only other.
I was about to say, John, didn't you say that draw trigger needed to be a Battle Sister earlier?
Yeah, but I don't know. Sometimes. Obvious is obvious. For grade 2s, you play 4 Mei. It's your probably best rearguard because it's one of the only things that you call from your hand is the shield value is still on the board. Unless you just check your top deck. If you know your top deck's bad because of Pentagon.
Daughter.
No. If you know it's bad because of hexagonal, you can put it to the bottom.
The Magus.
The Magus. Or if you don't know what's on the top of your deck, then you can look at it. I mean, like, that's what this deck intends to do. It tries to hit its triggers without actually, like, eating through its deck very fast.
So memes are good?
Memes are very good. Best memes.
Best memes.
4 Rectangle Magus. This card, it honestly overperformed when I used it in testing it in the tourney because it counter rushes. It adds your triggers and puts them on the top of your deck, and then it starts just swinging at rear guards for 14. And it's a number that your opponent can't really, like 10k cards don't really exist, and your opponent doesn't really like to use them. So, like, swinging 14 at a rear guard or swinging, 9 at a rear guard, like, your opponent, like, doesn't want to waste that shield value on the grade 2s on the board, especially if you just get that 1 power boost off of it. And if it's on your opponent's turn, then you get to keep a 14k rear guard.
There's such a thing as overperforming?
Sometimes. I don't know. And the best thing about it is that if you know it triggers on the top of your deck, you just move it around because maybe there's a non-trigger on the bottom of it. Overall, the card's very good, and the soul kind of hurts, but we play around with it. 2 Battle Sister Caramel. I mean, the only important part was that it was a Battle Sister. That's an 8k. And the fact that it's Counterblast 1 on ride, it deals you a damage. So, in per se, if you ride it, you Counterblast 1 and take a damage, and you can either put back Draw Trigger or Ultimate Stride Fodder. Just stuff that you need in your deck.
The trigger doesn't apply.
Yeah, the trigger doesn't apply. You just
clarification.
But I just needed to find a Battle Sister that was 8k that was decent.
That didn't do anything.
Yeah, I mean, I
Battle Sister related.
I could play Glacé, I could play Mocha, but like they gain power.
You play the mate.
It's a 9k.
It's a 9k.
Unfortunately.
And
you want to be 8k.
Unfortunately. So sorry.
So I can touch you when my grade 1's cool.
We got Z1, Z2, Z3, and the A7. We got.
What is this? Stop being like Henry.
We got the 4 Coco. Best ride target because it looks top card of your deck on ride, and they get to the offensive triggers earlier. Cards like this are very self-explanatory. It's basically just the same thing as Mei except it's on ride.
And on call, or is it just on?
Sorry, on ride and on call. Added to it, it's on ride. 4 Shooting Hobby. I actually had one round where I guarded with 2 of these, and I said I was 50 on Gyze, and my opponent was like, "What? Hey, aren't you?" I'm sorry, I was 60 on Gyze, and my opponent was like, "Aren't those 5Ks?" I'm like, "No, they're 15s." And he looked at it closer, and I'm like, "Oh, they're 15s."
That's dumb.
He's like, "Why?" I'm like, "The 7K, they got no effect."
Why?
And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't know, man." And like these cards only ran in here for that very reason, because 7K.
Why can't I get
no
those?
effect. I don't know, man. Where's my? I can't really complain. Protect has good things. We run 3 Hanali. I honestly really wish I saw this card more than I did. There was matchups where I needed it, and like I thought 3 was enough. I thought me being a draw deck that stacks would be 3 is enough, but
No,
I don't know, man.
No, man.
And not fortunate. But in the match, in the times when I did see it, it was important. I saw it once against Ezel, and it derailed them from going into Glorious Reigning, which is a very good thing. So.
Fair.
I had one good plus. There's not really other matchups that you would run it for. I mean, there's some cheese matchups. Like
Murkuma Infinite Loop.
I'm sorry. Yes, there's Murkuma Infinite Loop. There's
Pale
Spike
Moon
Brothers.
Infinite Loop.
Spike
That
Brothers.
doesn't matter. They have a grade 3 that puts it in this.
Listen,
Regardless,
man.
keep going.
Whatever.
Good
This,
card.
this ain't
Yeah,
standard.
keep
You
going.
can't. You don't see your 3.
And then Stride Fodder, their Battle Sister. Oh yeah, remember, Battle Sister. But yeah, they're Battle Sisters and they're Stride Fodders. Sorry,
Thank God you got a second Stride Father in OTT that's specific for your archetype in your clan.
Yeah,
It's pretty
yeah.
good.
It's pretty good.
We got Stark. We got.
That's not
Dust.
Stark.
We got Ultima. Close enough. They're both white. We got Dust.
Yo,
We
that's
got-
some reverse racism here.
We got Megiddo. We got Zoa, and we got Stark. Starks and Zoa are the only 2 secret rare because they mean more to me.
Fair.
Then we got. I love my $50 placeholders, by the way. I really don't. It hurt a lot. I run 4 Ikishima. This card's pretty good.
Yeah.
OTT's
Yeah.
other wing condition.
Pretty good. Yeah.
I mean, in my deck, the only important part is the counter blast 1, soul blast 1, draw 2. You use the G Guardian aspect only if you.
They're at 4 or 5.
That never happens. You only use that part if your opponent, like, you have a rear guard that you need to hit, or in the fact that you just don't want your opponent to G guard. Like, that's the only times where it's very important because there's some matchups where if you get them to a high GB count, they're going to become very scary.
Spikes.
Yeah.
Bermuda.
And they're scary all the time.
Second stride. This is premium. It means you die.
And if people don't know, the effect where you can flip anything in your G zone for the G Guardian aspect, you can flip over a Xerath Dragon that hasn't been bound yet, and then if you hit a trigger, you can bind that face of Xerath Dragon, which I thought was very cool. So overall, like, it's a good card, draws cards, digs in the deck.
If he wants to play Tom, he can.
Yeah, but I don't recommend that because I don't see many matchups where that's viable because I play the Legion aspect for them for that matchup, which is Gyze. Okay, don't hate me. I'm not bad because of this one card. I cannot for the life of me find the rare on hit, and if I have to be completely honest, the rare on hit digs so hard in your deck because it soul charges, it draws cards.
The reason why he's saying it, guys, it's proxied. This is.
Wait, it's proxy?
No, it's not proxy.
Oh, I thought
That
you
is-
were. Oh, I
No,
thought it
it's
was
actually
proxy.
actual.
No, it's not proxy. That's the actual card that I play.
Oh, I
God
thought the
damn, this is
proxy
from
for
set
one.
1.
It's from set 1.
GBT01.
Snap, I thought that was a proxy for something else.
No,
Oh.
it's Kieran. So Kieran's effect is basically like what you'd be using the other one
Okay.
for.
Every single first generation stride.
On hit,
My bad.
on hit, check the top 2, add one in your hand, put the other one on the bottom. I like that more than the draw 2 and discard 1 only because they get the same amount of cards in your hand, but the fact that the other,
Keeps triggers in deck.
yeah, and the other one soul charges.
Yeah.
So you may just soul charge out of your triggers. You just have more chances of digging out your triggers in your deck when you use that sort of skill. So, like,
Fair.
I mean, it doesn't necessarily matter. Like, this spot literally does not matter. Like, they're probably going to eat it regardless. The only other instance where the other one's better is because it counter charges, but
You can play
I don't really
Susanoo
care.
for all we care.
yeah, doesn't matter. Then the reason we played all that Battle Sisters is because it's stolen. This card is the time when I used it in the shop challenge was very good. It lets you, for every rear guard that you have, check the top card of your deck, put it on the top or bottom, and then all your Battle Sisters get 3k. It's very good because it's like you dig harder for the triggers that you need to hit, and if your opponent, if you're in a scenario where like you can't, like you see the triggers on the top of your deck, but you can't you can't move your deck around with like rectangle maguses. You use this so that you can check the cards that are underneath there, right? Because there has been times when I use this and I check 4 cards and I see the first trigger and I'm like, oh, 3 non-triggers. Yeah, yeet to the bottom. And then you triple drive and you just hit your triggers. It's also good for digging for heals in matchups where you need to see heals.
Hey, does OTT have a quad drive?
Nope.
Thank God.
OTT and G era got an OTT and G era got this and nothing else. We got
That was at the end of GR, dog. We got Susanoo and that's it.
we got 2 Bavrios, the Battle Sister G Guard. It's basically a replacement when you G Guard because it on G Guard counterblast 1 and draw a card. Reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a grade 1 or higher, you get 5k shield. OTT's G Guards are very good because if you're missing out on Ultimate Stride Fodder, they dig very hard for them because that's the whole point of them. And this is one of them. If you're missing out on Ultimate Stride Fodder, not only do you draw a card and then you maybe will see it, then you see the top card of your deck, and if it's there, you obviously leave it there, or you use another one, draw it, and then, good card.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, and plus, like, you're playing 20k triggers, so you want to play as many G-Guards as possible that can get to that 20k threshold, if not exceed it.
And there's some rigor attacks that are puny 15. Like, sometimes you just also want that, and just to get a higher GB count. And you play 2 Amaterasu.
Why isn't the other one full art?
I don't know. I gotta find it somewhere.
I have it.
No, I know I have it. I just can't find it somewhere. I just
You're
gotta find it
dingus.
somewhere. Yeah, I am. Its effect is on Guardian, you soul charge 1, and then if you have 4 more cards in your hand, you get 10k shield. Oh, I'm sorry. If you have 4 more cards in your hand, you get 10k shield, and then on place, you soul charge 1, and then you look at the top card of your deck, put it on top or bottom. Digs harder for Ultimate Stride Fodder. The only part I hate is that the soul charge is random, so sometimes it screws you over. I have soul charge heals. That hurts a lot. But other than that, having a free 10k that's this big, I'll take it because it's good. In premium, this deck does honestly very well against most of the meta decks. Bermuda, it's kind of rough, I'll admit that, but most of the time you're just damage denying them out of the big play where they get to grade 3 first, and then you play an actual game with them where you just have to keep guarding their restand turns. Against... Jeez, what's the other Titans at premium? What's it play? I'm sorry. Against Ezel, you honestly have to
High rolling Ezel.
Yeah, high rolling Ezel. You honestly have to hope you go first against them. Otherwise, you're gonna have a pretty hard time unless you see.
You're gonna have a bad time.
Because there's not much that you can do because there's no control over that high roll. If they get it, then they get it. That's how it works.
Yep.
And if you do get to grade 3 though, I guarantee you it's a much easier time because you're not doing anything other than literally give them 1 counterblast at a time. If they have no counterblast, your protect markers match their Helios, and the Helios means nothing. That's how it works every single time. And then their hand size is so small that literally all it takes is 1 Stillwater to be like, pop. And then they get that 1 damage for Gyze. You're at Ultimate Stride. You just guard their Glorious Reigning turn and Ultimate Stride on them, and then that's usually the wrap. And then when you face against Nubatama, it's very degenerate what you have to do, but you have to make it so that your opponent only has 1 counterblast to play with, which is the only counterblast for Renee. And then you have to have 2 protect. You have to make it so that you have 2 protect markers in your hand at all times and no board, so that when you have 2 protect markers in your hand, Renee cannot rip anything from your hand. And when you have no board, they can't crow you. So the whole game
Mukuro you.
I'm sorry?
Well. Also Mukuro.
They can Mukuro you. Wait, I'm sorry. The thing that makes you dominate your Vanguard?
Yeah.
Yeah, they can do that, but it doesn't matter.
It whiffs?
No, they can attack with it. They get the twin drive, but it doesn't do anything for them. Like it's not pressuring me whatsoever. I don't care if they get a board. I don't care if they hit triggers. Like all I need to do is set up and be defensive until the point where I ultimate stride on them. Because the only play that they have is the old stride that says counterblast 2, rip your whole hand out of 4, and that only comes up if they heal, which is most of the time when this deck loses is when your opponent heals on 6, and then they just shine you by giving you a big turn that you weren't expecting.
Yeah.
The hardest matchups honestly are not played right now, which is Luard and like guard restrict decks in general, like Maelstrom, like just stuff with that kind of guard restrict that says you can't guard from your hand, because like once you're on Gyze, you're on 30k and your G zone's gone, and if you can't guard from your hand, you can't guard from anywhere, so just kind of die. Overall, like everything else, it's like everything else needs counterblast to play with, and everything else just can't really break through the wall that OTT builds that leads up to the Gyze. So it's kind of hard for them to get through both aspects of that. The only reason that this deck is a little better than Angel Feather is because it draws more, and it checks the top of the deck more, so it actually gets to the triggers that it needs, as opposed to just keep not randomly, just ramping through the deck to see which triggers that it wants. And you get the ultimate stride for it more often than not.
Fair.
Because
were there any matches today that stood out to you? at all?
I played Aquaforce in round 5, and the team won it, but like the Aquaforce matchup was really nuts because it's like a lot of stuff was just free on the restand because of Title Soul and Benedict.
Yeah, that old grade 3 promo that is a grade 3 tile assault.
And Aquaforce is really good on playing on one counter boss because of the G guard that they have. It just says like
Counter charge.
Yeah,
Soul Blast 1, counter charge.
And Alexandros is a pretty good card from what I heard.
You know, I heard,
Yeah.
I heard some pretty good things.
I heard good things.
And besides that, the mirror match that I played where I Legion twice was very fun.
Fun in Gyze? What is this?
Me and him were having like laughing the whole time. Like we were actually like having like the best time just laughing. Then I don't know. Like everything else was like I played against a lot of golds. The only time I lost was when they high rolled me so hard that I didn't have didn't have a PG in my hand. I was just like, oh well, I died.
Yep.
And then yeah, those were the only 2 times because then I played against Nubatama where they couldn't rip the cards out of my hand with Renee, and I'm pretty sure those are the only times I played against Coral, but Coral also needs counterblast to work with, I believe. So like they also weren't able to really do anything. It's just that they had power from Coral. It doesn't really matter once you get on Gyze though. Overall, the deck's pretty solid. You just have to make sure that you're riding correctly, stacking correctly. It honestly just depends on what you draw. Like the deck's very good in the format. It's just something more that people have to play around and understand how to play around. It's just a very good deck. I'm just happy to play OTT in the format because it's like OTT wasn't really good in G at all. Like it was literally standing on still water the whole time, and it still does in premium. It just
That's
needs
different
time.
build,
It's just a different build. Yeah, I just think this one's better because of counterblast denials, and a lot of decks need counterblast to work with.
Yep. Alright, John, thank you very much for your deck profile. If you want to see any more premium deck profiles, please let us know in the comment section down below.
If you have any questions for John,
Yeah,
please also let us know in the comment section down below. If you guys want to subscribe to Team Gradelock,
There's a button down below underneath this video, and you can also hit the bell button to receive daily notifications for all the videos. It's not necessary, but it's important to Mama John that you do that.
it's not important to me at all.
Shut up.
It's important to some people.
Alright.
Important to YouTube sometimes.
Something about a bell, okay?
So, yeah.
Ding,
Alright.
ding, ding, ding.
Alright, thank you guys once again for watching, and we'll be signing off.
Deuces. Ain't here to stop it.